Hello everyone, my name is Sue Sayer and I'm the founder and director of the Seal Research Trust in Cornwall. I've been asked to talk to you today, I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, about the impact that increasing access of people to the coast might actually be having on our UK grey seals. If you didn't know, they're a UK speciality and we have over a third of the world's population of grey seals in the UK, but there are still more red squirrels here than there are grey seals. Okay, over to my presentation. I'm going to start sharing my screen and tell you about some of the things that our network have recorded in terms of impacts on seals. I have a privileged life. I do all sorts of really exciting things. I don't take photos of me getting up close and personal with seals because I don't do that generally, apart from in the bottom right hand corner when I'm rescuing seals. So getting up close and personal isn't something that's ever going to help seals unless it's a rescue. Our philosophy at the Seal Research Trust is one of sharing our seas. We want everyone to be able to enjoy our amazing coastal environment. And one of the ways that we can do that is by seeing stuff. However, we all need to see stuff without any impact. I always have to thank our funders because without them, we won't have a Seal Research Trust. So thanks to everyone that you can see here. On to people. We have an amazing network of volunteers right the way around the southwest region, and they are gathering data about seals and people. We also have amazing digital volunteers around the world who help us process the data and the photos that we collect. So to give you an idea, in 2021, we did 14 surveys every single day of the year. We managed 13,000 plus identifications of seals, including 7 that I first met in the year 2000, and 134 unique entangled animals, which of course is devastatingly sad, as well as over 1,400 seriously disturbed seals in 282 incidents. And we engaged shed loads of beneficiaries last year, which is really good, spreading the word about how amazing our seals are. But how we work effectively is to work smarter together, working in networks and partnerships and trying to upskill everyone and being creative about that process. So these are all the national statutory agencies and some of the international NGOs that we work with. So the Pinniped Entanglement Group is an American global organisation. I'm doing a talk for them next week. And the Global Ghost Gear Initiative, I did a talk for them at their 7th International Marine Debris Conference in Korea last week. I thought I'd highlight this report because it's very important. It was produced by the Wildlife Link in 2021, and it talks about the benefits of seal watching to our coastal economies. So it's a useful document. We are also delighted that in the southwest, Operation Seabird was launched in 2021. It's run by the police and along with the Marine Management Organisation, and this is going to be a really major development for us going forward. I also chair the Seal Alliance, which majors on disturbance work, and it's a partnership between lots of different seal projects around the UK. So in 2021, we campaigned and wrote an open letter to Boris Johnson asking him to make seal disturbance illegal, as it is with whales and dolphins. And in Feb 2022, that was followed up by a 10-minute rule bill read out by Tracy Crouch. But this year, we've also been focusing on statutory agencies, NGOs and governing bodies, because those are the user groups who are going to help us get the message out there. And a user group listens to its governing body a lot more than a seal hugger, for example. We can't thank these teams around the southwest either enough, because our work is not effective without working in partnerships with all these groups of people. So seals affected by many issues. From climate change, there are some shocking impacts of climate change. If you want to learn about seals and climate change, watch the film Under the Surface by Cornwall Climate Care. I will make this presentation available and you can click that link. Seals are also affected by prey availability, which of course the phenology is shifting and we've depleted a lot of stocks. Pollution, all sorts of pollution. I was shocked to discover that painkillers, including ibuprofen, had been found in phytoplankton in the Arctic. My word, we really are having a widespread impact. Habitat loss from all sorts of things, including increased marine activity around our coast, which is us, persecution, bycatch and entanglement, and disturbance. So on to disturbance then. Through climate change, which is a little bit shocking. So rock falls on key seal haulouts can cause a temporary loss of habitat, but can also disturb seals. So for example, this is the 4-year average of seals on land at this particular site. And in 2022, we had an extra rockfall. And as a result of that, the haulout wasn't used, whereas it often is. And climate change, very recently on a survey, I was out and I suffered 2 hammering rainstorms. I got totally soaked right through to my pants. But the seals didn't like it either, because over half of them stampeded into the sea. And that's something that's going to get more common with climate change. Right, on to some of these impacts then. The one thing I would say to you is, please, we don't need to lull ourselves into a false sense of security about this by watching the behaviour that we see. This isn't good enough. The Wildlife Safe Scheme minimum approach distance is 100 metres. And until we get that put into practice, we really aren't doing well enough. So what are the impacts of disturbance on seals? Well, they go from interrupted rest, like this one up there, which basically wastes energy, to panic, which is stress hormone release response, which this seal has happened, and then on to injury. This seal will likely break its bottom jaw, crack a rib, which will be a life-threatening injury. And then there are other less serious life-threatening injuries. Okay, on to risk assessmenting then. We'd like people to understand that not all risks are the same for seals. So we have potential outcomes from raised heart rates to life-threatening injury, the possibility of that happening, and then just like we do for human risk assessments, you can judge and see that this seal will not be affected in the same way as these seals that are right next to the water's edge. This is much more likely to be life-threatening. This is likely to have potential injury. And then stampedes over boulders are really hideous and lead to high level risk. Okay, on to some case studies. So this is a single kayaker who I think is getting his camera out, and the seals have started to move. They're now aware, their heads have come up, and they're starting to look at the kayaker, who's quite keen to sort the camera out so that they can take photos or videos of the seals. But by the time they get round to doing it, unfortunately, it's too late, because lots of the seals have stampeded into the water, look, and in doing so will have wasted their rest. They now need to swim approximately 10 kilometres to the next haul out site, because our photo ID work shows that they don't re-haul out at the same site. So this kayaker, there were 18 seals before he arrived, and there were 3 left after he disappeared. I know this is a shaky video, but I wanted to show you this because it's a juvenile. So juvenile have less blubber. Imagine doing this in a wetsuit. It's seen a tripper boat and now it's panicking and it's basically chucking itself down the slope into the sea. That could easily cause a broken bone. This is a tripper boat. You can just see it poking into the left-hand side. And this is a pregnant female. She can't afford to stampede over her belly, so she delicately rolls into the sea because her pup is in her belly. This happened on the same day as the boat, and this is jet skis causing serious level 3 disturbance, a bit more of that later. And as you can see, heads up everywhere. The next thing is that the jet skis went quite close. So you'll see the seal here can't really escape until it knows it's got a safe access to the sea. So it waits until the jet skier stops looking at it, and then it legs it into the sea and takes a wide route around. So it's about to go now because the jet ski's thinking about disappearing. And she takes a wide route around the jet skis, who then sadly leave at a rate of knots and then cause more disturbance. So the summary for that day is that level 3, which I'll explain in a minute, there were no by the original paddleboarders, I didn't show you that, 1 by the rib, and 13 seals disturbed into the sea by the jet skis. So this is what we call a sensitive seal site merry-go-round. In 103 minutes, there were 13 activities, 1 every 9 minutes and a maximum of 7 at once. This is the same merry-go-round, 50 minutes, 9 activities, 1 every 5.5 minutes, maximum 4 boats and 4 jet skis at once. And then this is a sensitive water site at high tide. We had 25 minutes, 13 activities, one every 2 minutes, with a maximum of 8 paddlers and 2 boats at once. So we gather evidence and basically report on it. And we were commissioned by DEFRA in 2021 to write a report, which we did, and I can share with you. We define disturbance in 3 levels. Level 1 is just looking. Level 2 is moving to the safety of the sea, and level 3 is crash diving in the water, being fed by people, or moving from the land to the sea. What we discovered in the report from our routine level 3 data only was that disturbance was widespread around the Cornish coast. Over 1,000 seals on average suffered serious disturbance every year. There was a statistically significant increase across most user groups, and the main causes were walker, tripper boats and kayaks. We had most disturbance in the summer when most people were around, and most seals disturbed in the winter when there were more seals around, with a statistically significant increase in the summer season only. But in 2019 and 2021, we did some more rigorous work looking at all levels of disturbance, and we discovered that disturbance occurred in 44% of all intervals, 68% of the time when people were present, and people were present 65% of the time. There was no massive increase in disturbance over the 2 years. Disturbance varied according to site, and trip boats and ribs caused them, and airbase causes resulted in the highest proportion of all levels of disturbance, whereas paddle sports and swimmers caused the most serious disturbance. These are the 4 sites, and West Cornwall and West Penwith North, between 22 and 26 minutes disturbance occurred in between those times. And then at Pentyre, I'm delighted to say that disturbance rates were reduced dramatically, but increased dramatically at Mountspeth. So we made some recommendations about making seal disturbance illegal and having a national voluntary marine code. Those 2 are being actioned by DEFRA as we speak, and there were other recommendations which you can read about. Now we started to look at activity levels. So, activity recording, and these are the sorts of things that we're starting to look at. These are best practice things, and we tally when people break them. But this enables us to report back to individual people. So this was a boat operator, these are the things they did well, these are the things they didn't do, and so on. And this was a report back to a jet ski guide about disturbance on a particular occasion. We also try to mitigate it, which is why we hope that disturbance hasn't increased dramatically in the 2 years. So we now have a mailing list, and we've sent 4 lots of letters this year to operators. Those are the 4 letters. We've done social media for different water user groups and boat users, and then we've tried to share with people what natural behaviour looks like when people aren't there. And this is all exemplified in a Watching Seals Well talk that I can do. I can do it across Zoom to anyone if you're interested. We've also provided over 74,000 Seal Alliance leaflets and 125 signs around the UK, from north of John O'Groats to south of Land's End, being translated into French. Pupping season signs that tend to be temporary. We've also got watercraft stickers, so 4,000 of those have gone out into Wales and South Devon as well. Behaviour Change Cornwall did some great graphics for us, which is fantastic, and we've started trying to look more creatively at some of our messaging as well, about nuisance neighbours, and having a bit of joke around that in the cartoon, but also looking at a manifesto for seals. We've got shed loads more resources if you would like to access them. They're all available in a Google Drive. Thanks very much. I hope that's given you an overview about the issue of disturbance. We do want increased access around our coast. We do want increased appreciation. What we don't want is a greater impact. We all need to reduce that impact on our precious wildlife, because our marine life in Cornwall is amazing. Let's keep it that way. Thanks for listening.